Hey guys, it's Yuta. Yeah, hello. So here's another OreGairu video. I'm making this video not because I wanted to say yeah, hello again, but because characters in OreGairu have interesting speech patterns. And today, I'm going to be focusing on Yukino. The first thing I want to mention is that she has a stereotypically feminine speech pattern.
6月18日、何の日か知ってる？
いいよ。
由比ヶ浜さんの誕生日よ。多分。
由比ヶ浜さんの誕生日よ。It's Yuigahama-san's birthday. Here, this yo indicates that it's a feminine speech pattern.
これが最善策よ。
私も変わらない。
あなたが出る必要はないわ。
あなたが出る必要はないわ。There's no need for you to run. Here, wa indicates it's a feminine speech pattern.
ねえ、引きがやくん。
お？
付き合ってくれないかしら。
付き合ってくれないかしら。Would you accompany me? And here, かしら indicates it's a feminine speech pattern. This stereotypically feminine speech pattern is quite uncommon in real life. I've come across only one woman in my life on the train who had this kind of speech pattern. That's how uncommon it is. Yet, this is very common in fiction, including anime. I'd also have to mention that there's a non-feminine way of using these words because some people are confused. But here, Yukino is clearly using them in a feminine way. The interesting thing is that female characters in OreGairu generally don't sound stereotypically feminine like Yukino. Actually, many of them speak like real Japanese people, but Yukino doesn't. So that tells how Yukino is different from the rest. And sometimes Yukino sounds overly polite or overly commanding.
ありがとうございました。
行きましょう。
行きましょう。Let's go. Masho is a formal and polite way of speaking Japanese, and you definitely don't speak like this with other students in the same grade. But a few moments later, she sounds overly authoritative.
俺がここにいてもできることはなさそうだな。俺あっちの方にいるから。
待ちなさい。
待ちなさい。Wait. This sounds very commanding. Nasai is the kind of expression that parents would use with their kids. Again, you definitely wouldn't use this with people of the same age. This kind of weird choice of language makes Yukino sound quite awkward. It sounds like she just doesn't know how to talk to people, which she kind of doesn't. The way she speaks is an important aspect of her character. Comparing to Yukino, even Hachiman looks quite conventional. He actually has pretty good communication skills for his age. He just doesn't like being around random people. He sometimes does things that upset people, but he's always aware of that. But Yukino is different, and watching season 3 makes me realize how awkward she is. I initially thought that she was acting like this intentionally in this scene, but later on she admits that she was very nervous on this day, and the way she speaks really shows that. And I love this kind of subtle expression of OreGairu. But unfortunately, these nuances are lost in translation because if you read the subtitles, she seems to be speaking fairly normally. So if you want to fully enjoy anime like OreGairu, you need to understand Japanese, and if you want to learn Japanese with me, I can teach you the kind of Japanese that real-life Japanese people today actually speak, which will also help you understand anime. So click the link in the description and subscribe. And did you notice that in this scene, Yukino ended up buying the apron because Hachiman said it looked good on her. You can see her wearing it in a later episode, so this is Yukino's subtle tsundere moment. This kind of detail is one of the reasons I love this anime so much. But anyway, her speech pattern has other distinct features. For example, she tends to use literary expressions when other people use colloquial expressions.
どうしたの？
無理して来なくてもいいと言ったじゃない。
無理して来なくてもいいと言ったじゃない。I told you that you didn't have to force yourself to attend anymore. と言ったじゃない is actually a pretty literary expression that you'd expect to read, but not hear. Of course, this is originally a light novel, so that kind of makes sense. But remember, other characters sound more natural, so it's part of her character. In conversation, I think we would say て言ったじゃん instead, if it's a Tokyo area where the characters are from. And that's actually how Yui and many other characters speak. But there's an expression that really stands out, and that's のだけれど。
だから手伝ってもらえると助かるのだけれど。
手伝ってもらえると助かるのだけれど。I would appreciate it if you'd help me. And she says のだけれど all the time when people would normally say だけど。And you can actually see other characters speak that way.
なんだよ。
土曜日の時間についてちょっと相談したいんだけど。
土曜日の時間についてちょっと相談したいんだけど。I wanted to talk to you about what to do on Saturday. As you can see, he's using だけど, just like real life people. So Yukino's speech pattern is quite different even among anime characters. She uses のだけれど all the time, and I think you will start hearing it.
例えが千葉すぎてわからないのだけれど、あなたの案は否定したはずだけれど。
私と契約して魔法少女になってほしいのだけれど。And there's another word that she always says, but other characters don't. And that is あなた。
私も変わらない。
あなたが出る必要はないわ。
あなたが出る必要はないわ。There's no need for you to run. She used あなた with Yui. But in Japanese, we normally don't use あなた in conversation. Some people might use it sometimes, but it's unlikely to use it constantly with everybody. Yet, Yukino addresses pretty much everybody with あなた. Listen to this again.
由比ヶ浜だけじゃなくて雪の下もな。
どういう意味かしら。あなたの案は否定したはずだけれど。
あなたの案は否定したはずだけれど。I believe we rejected your idea. Here she's using あなた with 8番. In real life, it's unthinkable for high school students to talk to other students constantly using あなた. Again, I'm not saying nobody uses it under any circumstances, but it's highly unlikely to use it like Yukino. And again, even in OreGairu, Yukino is the only one who uses あなた like that. Things like this really emphasize how eccentric Yukino is. OreGairu is interesting because each character has its own distinct way of speaking without sounding too anime-ish. For example, Yui, Yumi, Saki, and Iroha, they all speak like real Japanese people, but they speak differently. And I really like the fact about OreGairu because usually in anime, when they try to make characters speak differently, they end up making characters speak very anime-ish. And some characters in OreGairu, such as Yukino or Hiratsuka sensei, do sound very different from real life people. I don't think anybody would speak like that in real life, even if they were in the same situation as these characters. But many other characters in OreGairu sound very realistic, while sounding different from each other. And I'd be very happy to make a video for each character, but that might be too niche for YouTube. But if you speak Japanese, you don't have to wait for me to understand these interesting differences. And if you want to learn Japanese with me, I can teach you the kind of Japanese that real-life Japanese people today actually speak, which can be quite different from the kind of Japanese that textbooks teach you. So click the link and subscribe to my email group, Japanese with Yuta. Alright, see you guys soon. Ciao, ciao!